Imagine, for a moment, that time is not a straight line, but a living creature. It breathes, stretches, contracts. It moves forward, but never at exactly the pace we believe we control. Imagine that, every certain number of years, time demands a silent tribute from us. One extra day. A day that was not planned. A day that appears like a whisper in the calendar. That day is the 29th of February. That day is the visible trace of a millennia-long struggle between the heavens and humankind. The Earth takes approximately 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds to complete one orbit around the Sun. It is not a clean number. It does not fit neatly into human arithmetic. That seemingly insignificant fraction, those leftover hours, accumulate slowly, like sand in an invisible hourglass. Without correction, the seasons would drift. Summer would eventually arrive in winter. Spring would lose its promise. Time itself would fall out of order. From the very origins of civilization, human beings have tried to tame that chaos. In ancient Rome, the earliest calendar reflected that disorder. It had barely 304 days divided into 10 months, followed by an undefined period that simply did not exist in official timekeeping. Later, improvised adjustments were introduced, added months, inserted days without a fixed rule. The calendar became not only inaccurate, but also a political and religious instrument, manipulated according to convenience. The Great Reform arrived in the 1st century before the Christian era. Julius Caesar, aware that the Roman calendar had drifted dangerously far from the seasons, commissioned astronomers, especially from Egypt, to design a definitive solution. The result was the Julian calendar, a year of 365 days, with one additional day every 4 years to compensate for the accumulated discrepancy. Thus, the leap year was born. That extra day was not added to the end of the year, but placed in February, the shortest and symbolically most fragile month. In leap years, February went from having 29 days to having 30. The name comes from the Latin bis sextus, twice the 6th day before the calends of March. Time, quite literally, repeated itself. 4 centuries, this system worked almost. The problem was subtle but relentless. The Julian calendar assumed that the solar year lasted exactly 365 days and 6 hours. But that was not true. The error was small, yes, but constant. Each century, the calendar advanced by nearly 1 full day with respect to the Sun. By the 16th century, the discrepancy had become alarming. The spring equinox, essential for calculating the date of Easter, no longer matched astronomical reality. The Church, which governed much of the social rhythm of Europe, faced a problem that was not only scientific, but theological. Then a decisive figure emerged, Pope Gregory the Thirteenth. Gregory understood that adjusting time was a historical responsibility. To do so, he turned to one of the great minds of his age, the Jesuit astronomer and mathematician Christopher Clavius. Together they designed a reform so precise that, even today, the accumulated error is only about 1 day every more than 3,300 years. The solution was as elegant as it was radical. First, 10 days were eliminated from the calendar at once. By papal decree, through the bull Inter Gravissimas, Thursday the 4th of October of the year 1582 was followed directly by Friday the 15th of October of that same year. 10 days vanished forever. People went to sleep one night and woke up 10 days later. Time had been amputated. Then the leap year rule was refined. From that point on, leap years would be those divisible by 4, except for years divisible by 100 unless they were also divisible by 400. That is why the year 1900 was not a leap year, while the year 2000 was. A minimal, almost invisible mathematical rule, but a decisive one. The world did not accept the change without resistance. England took nearly 2 centuries to adopt the Gregorian calendar. The Eastern Christian world rejected it, viewing the reform as an imposition from Rome. To this day, some Orthodox churches continue to use adapted versions of the old Julian calendar. Changing the calendar was not merely changing dates. It was altering the way people understood their lives, their history, and their place in the world. It is therefore no surprise that superstitions arose around the leap year. Leap year, sinister year, went the old saying. In ancient Rome, the added day was already regarded with suspicion, an anomaly in the natural order. In Scotland, the 29th of February came to be feared much like Friday the 13th. In Greece, for generations, people avoided marriage during leap years, fearing a troubled future. In several Latin American countries, it is still considered an unlucky time to begin major projects. But mystery also gave rise to romance. In the United Kingdom, the leap year became the year of reversed proposals. According to tradition, women were allowed to propose marriage to men. Some legends attribute this privilege to a supposed decree by St. Patrick, others to a law attributed to Queen Margaret of Scotland in the 13th century. No solid historical evidence has been found, but the story endured because the idea was too powerful to disappear. Meanwhile, other calendars solved the problem of time in different ways. The Jewish calendar, for example, is lunisolar. It does not add isolated days, but entire months when necessary, following precise mathematical cycles. It requires no external corrections, the adjustment is built into its structure. It is another way of negotiating with the heavens. Today, there are approximately 4.1 million people in the world who were born on the 29th of February. People who celebrate their birthday only once every 4 years. Some of them gather in Anthony, Texas, the self-proclaimed leap year capital of the world, where each cycle is marked by a large collective celebration. And yet, there is a quiet irony. In leap years, we work one extra day without receiving additional pay. The annual salary remains the same. The extra time is unpaid. It is simply given. Perhaps that is why the leap year still unsettles us. Because it reminds us that time does not belong to us. That even with all our science, we are still negotiating with the universe. That every 4 years the calendar pauses, breathes, and adds a day as an act of quiet, poetic defiance. The leap year is not a mistake. It is a confession. Proof that, to live in harmony with the cosmos, we must accept that time, like love, like life itself, is never exact. Never comfortable. And precisely for that reason, profoundly human.